Good afternoon. Welcome back, everybody, to another Last Epoch dev stream. I am your host, Mike. And I definitely did not just sit down in front of my computer or stand up in front of my computer, however you want to say it. Woo, we made it. Woo. Got home a little late. Just gonna take a little drink. Tasty. Thank you very much to the raids and resubs we've got going on. Right at the start here, a whole bunch kicking things off strong. Lone Star McFluffin coming in with a 9-person raid and their 7th month resub. Pew, pew, pew. Followed up to Hariel 7 months. Ziz High Last Oh, that's the I always forget that the icons show up as just the words. Heavy Gaming TV, also another 7-month resub, and then Heavy gifted 10 more subs to the channel. Thank you very much. We're rolling in it. Starting strong. Great to be here. How you guys feeling? A few good dev blogs this week. We got some great ones coming next week too. I'm really pumped about this right now, guys. It's just feels good. I did come with something today. Dario coming in with 5 gifted subs. Thank you very much as well. Congrats to everyone if you got one of those. Is it just going back and forth? I don't even know what's going on here. This is just nuts. Okay. Heavy asked, when do we get cool stuff to spend our channel points on? I banked quite a few already. I haven't looked into that yet. I feel like that's something that would be really smart to set up and have some cool stuff for. Maybe like a highlight comment to get a question answered even more intensely. Probably some other cool stuff to do. Alright, I've got a collection of silly hats. And you can pick one. Oh my goodness me. Are we not very good? Is that what's happening?
I cannot do that.
I think my audio balance is all over the place. I was doing a lot of audio work and I cranked a few things. Oh. Those Ember Mages. Those Ember Mages. Wow. Okay, just to warm up, you know. Let's get back in the groove. We got a question in the middle of all this. When is LE2 coming? After we've got LE1 done. 50,000 points. Mike needs to dress as a bee again. Yeah, the outfit's still over there on the floor. Mike is showing how not to do it. Yep. Every time I die, I have to do a league. I mean, we're just gonna go back and play chapter 3. I don't have that many leagues. Don't have that many leagues. Oh my goodness. Can't look away for a second. I was playing a sorcerer this morning, mimicking my sorceress build in Diablo 2 that I've been playing recently. It's good fun.
I cannot do that.
Will we ever be able to trade crafting runes? when the multiplayer is coming. We're not, like, we haven't made final decisions on that stuff. I would say likely yes. That's the sort of thing that acts as like a expensive currency item, and part of what makes drops like that exciting for the super rare crafting materials is the fact they can be traded in a lot of games. So I'd say there's a good chance, but we don't know yet. Alright, hi Mike, just a quick question. Maybe this question is already asked. But are you going to change pylons so they have some minion buff as well? I don't know what pylons are. Because now they only count to the character and not the pets. Maybe this is an idea. I don't know what you're talking about, I'm sorry. Like, do you mean totems? Like the, like frenzy totem? Because that should affect your minions too already. Someone can clear that up. I would be happy to answer it. What other character archetype playstyles would you like to introduce in Last Epoch? Examples: totem build, summoner, melee, shifter. Yeah, there's a few more that that aren't really in yet. I'm not necessarily saying these are going to be coming right away, but they're just like archetypes that I do like that we don't really have a ton of access to yet. I think like hard trap is something we don't have good access to yet. Which would be good. And the hybrid bow melee, which is like a weird build that like probably shouldn't really work, but I do always like the concept of it. Oh my goodness me. Just...
I cannot do that.
Got him. Nice boots. What other type of archetypes would I like to see personally? I don't know, most of them are already there for me. I would like to see bows making more of an appearance on other character classes. I know we've like talked about this before, and I know a lot of people are expecting like Serpent Strike to get a bow version, and it might happen one day. But just that like hunter, WoW hunter type thing, like a dude with a bow and his pet. That type of combination we don't really see yet. This is not actually useful at all, is it? Ooh. How was your LFG going? Did you manage to find a proper grip? I did. I did. Wick and Sam joined me. It was great.
I cannot do that.
I'm squishy apparently. Is it likely to be co-op? Is it likely co-op to be next patch after 8.4? I can't answer that question, I'm sorry. I enjoy using builds from the community, but when I see them using numlock trick, I immediately close the video. It would be cool to add an activation feature to spells to emulate the same effect. So this is something that comes up every once in a while, and I haven't talked about it in a while, so, you know, let's give it a chat, shall we? We don't like the numlock trick. It's not something that we'd ever try and, or likely not something that we'd ever try, and we're definitely going to try right now, to stop from being able to happen, because I can think of a dozen different ways to do the same trick. And if I can think of a dozen different ways, I'm sure you all can come up with 100 different ways to do it. So it's not something that we're really interested in trying to fully stop from being possible, or like prevent or combat or anything like that, because it's just a losing battle for everyone.
I cannot do that.
We are trying to actively make skills not needed as much, and as soon as we put that in as a like in-game mechanic, it feels like we're accepting defeat. That all of our efforts to make that not be the primary way to use skills is just what am I doing? Okay, this is bad. I'm just gonna have to like open up the project and show everyone at this point, if leaks mean, you know? Oof. No passives to spend, no skill points to spend, nothing. Should probably try some crafting. Crafting's gonna be so much better soon, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. What I'm trying to say is the numlock trick is something that exists and we can't get rid of it, but we are doing our best to disincentivize it. Broken static field skill when. Oh, minus percent HP, please. I tried. It's not happening. The pylons that drops gold. Oh, shrines. I see what you're saying. The stats from the shrines don't give stats to your minions. I understand. Yeah. Maybe. I could see giving the minion stuff good too. It might be like, what is going on? Did I break something? It had to break eventually. I am a little lost as to what happened. What's going on here? I think I just need to get better gear, and I should go through here really quickly. But I don't want to waste time doing this. Not the gloves I thought they were. None of these are going to be good enough. Well, let's just die a couple more times, eh? What do you say? let's try this and drop one of the some of the buffs off, the enemy buffs. All right. Do you think Storm Totem could use some love? Yes, like for Thunder Totem node increasing its by 250% or up. The totem limit to 2 or 3 with nodes. I'm enjoying lightning totem guy, and the storm totem feels okay, but I think it could be better. Yeah, it could probably be better. I'd like to see more unique items that gives cool effects to skills, etc. I mean, we release a dozen of those every single patch, so yep. What is your philosophy on overlapping different mechanics? For example, as in PoE, when you play the Atlas, you encounter many of the... I think I know where this question's going, and my answer is great. I love it. I think it's fantastic. You encounter many of the other content. Basically, the question is, are we going to see new in-game content popping up randomly while we play Echoes, or do you want to keep different progression systems separate? I personally, I love the fact that every once in a while something pops up and it's like you take a break from what you're doing and it's sort of a random chance thing. It's like, oh, it's here, cool, let's do that. I think there's some danger in that it can end up being too much and too many things. Like if you have you go into one mechanic and then in that mechanic you get trigger another one, and then in that one you trigger another one, and you end up like just stepping out of these like mirrors as you're going down, just like step out one, step out one, step out one, step out one. And I think that can be a little less awesome. My goodness. It's just, you know, chill out here. So yeah, I'd love to see it. I think there's a limit to how well it can be done with too many cascading effects, I guess you could say. They're pylons in D3. Yep, that makes more sense now. They are pylons in D3. My Blade Dancer has more health than you do right now. Yeah, that's a good point. I could use some help in the health category. I probably need a chest, actually. I really need a new chest. Okay. New goal, find a new chest for Mike. Let's add a new rule. Let's recolor it. Let's recolor it. This color. And we'll say affixes. Health. Oh my goodness. Let's just stick all the health on there. And let's get vitality on there. And okay. I definitely didn't bug it out, guys. No problem. Health. Vitality. With at least 2 of these affixes. And let's say individual affixes must be at least 2, and total tiers need to be at least 8. Well, let's do 5, sure. And it needs to have a base type as well. Armor, body armor. Subtype, sentinel specific. Take any of those bases. Oh, I already got recolor that color. Change that to this. Okay. Pale pink, that's what we're looking for a chest. With just a bunch of health on it. We'll look and find some other stuff on it too. Mostly just looking for a crafting base.
I cannot do that.
Oh. Oh, I should switch those colors. That sticks out way more. There we go. Were they just waiting while I had the menu open? That was so nice of them. So nice. Okay, I'm gonna get back to answering some questions here and not click outside the window. You should at me if you want your question answered. Yes. That question was referring to, are you planning to balance the game such that any skill combo can carry you through endgame? I mean, no. That's not possible, I don't think. Apart from making the game unbelievably easy, I don't think that any skill combo can do that. I think that there's players should be rewarded for taking some time to really look and examine their gear and examine their build and like show that like they're learning as they go through the game and those sorts of things. So I think it's good to have some builds that do perform better than others. And I want to say that we do strive to have as many builds work as possible. So like we try and make as many archetypes as possible and as many options as possible. So we want like every class to have lots of interesting ways to experiment and have those experiments work and be possible. And sometimes that includes things only working with really specific items. So like I'm gonna use Diablo 2 as an example just because I can a lot of people played that if they haven't played this a lot. So in that game there's a like you can do a melee sorceress, sorry. And there's a couple different ways to do it, but they're really specific and it really requires a few key items to even make kinda work. And really it's not that great. I mean, Bearsork's pretty good. But it's expensive to do, so it's a definitely more advanced build. It can work, but just any random combination of skills, no, you can't do like a Hydra static charge build. Like it's just not gonna work. Sorry, Hydra charge bolt is what I was trying to say, or like just like all Novas. Oops, all Novas, not gonna work. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know what I'm doing here. I think that it's important to have certain builds perform better than others, and to have them be things that you can improve your character on, and yeah. So we want as many as we can, but we won't sacrifice other things to add in ones that are a little too ridiculous, maybe. I guess might be the answer. Set resistance on it too. You want me to put resistances on this too? You just want me to put all of them? Oh, I don't need resistances though. But all res. Well, I can't remember if that fits on it. I don't think all res goes on armor. Can you give some insight on the thought process for the 3 new chase crafting items? I know creation you still have things to reveal. Not really, no. Oh, the other use for it, yeah. But the other 2 are interesting. I'm particularly excited with the Glyph of Despair and opening up those blessing slots. Also with the chances be ambiguous or stated like Glyph of Hope. I don't know if I'll put the actual chances, the specific ones on there. I just realized you can hear hammering coming from upstairs. Having the chance be stated explicitly. I'm not sure if we'll state it explicitly or not. There's an option to lock your cursor in the game window. Yeah, but then I can't scroll up and down in chat. That's specifically the all res affix, not the res. Yeah, no, I want all res. I don't want individual ones. My resistances are fine. So I'm short on fire a bit. The other ones are all pretty high. Sure, fine. I'll put the resistances on there. I would have loved if you could ping off MA once to double hit the enemy. MA. All res only goes in shields. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. It doesn't hurt anything putting it in there. It won't cause items to not show up. Didn't make an impossible item. Well, one-handed swords get uplift, rework, swords and shield styles. My favorite. We've already gone through the swords, so I mean we're always changing things and balancing things, but swords have already had. So we went through all of the items and did shifts so that we're using all custom assets. 2D, 3D, all of it is built in-house now for all the weapons. Swords were an early one for sure. In that. That was basically all year this year we were doing that.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Blessings such as not having to feel obligated to take void resistance, blessing in the sun, critical strike, avoidance, and rain in Rain of Dragons, endurance and spirits of fire. Oh, as those free up gear slot suffixes with glyph of despair. Okay, I see what you're saying. Just because you'd have more of those stats on your gear. I mean, it's still like overlapping with other things you could have on stats on your gear instead as well. I should get a lookout for a new weapon too.
Stand down and die.
Probably help a lot of things just die faster. Something defense offense. They're the same thing, right? Defense and offense.
I cannot do that.
Oh, those giants. Ouch. They hurt. Oh, haste shrine though. 2 in a row. Love them. Perfect. Bye bye. Ouch. Baby, come back. Alright. I caught up on questions. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, I got a little something I can share here. I'll stick it in the corner and we can take a peek. LFG12 mage. Hey, I hit 18. Yeah, actually hit high. I think I had 20 something. Got my volcanic orb fireball build going. Top tier. Here is some 2D art from an upcoming item. This is a oh, Delos 10 gifted subs. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. Thank you very much. Appreciated. Sorry, I was in the middle of reading something and speak real good. Oh, a little while ago, someone cheered 10 bits. Thank you for give dungeon sneak peek. I can't. I'm sorry. The post for that's coming soon, though. What was I saying? And no, Judd was not carrying me on his prime list. Here we go. This is a one of our new supporter uniques coming next patch. This is just the art for it, but I think the art's really cool. So I'm just gonna stick this up here, and you guys can look at that instead of the bottom right corner of my screen. Ooh, a vital shadow plate of the fox. Some inherent void damage on that. We can try and pull the mana off because we don't need that at all.
I cannot do that.
And I do realize that I walked right past it. Haha, I'm out of your range. Am I though? For me, Last Epoch feels clunky compared to other ARPGs because I cannot control my character's movement with the button that also attacks. It helps me melee feel fluid. Accessibility issue. Any plans to address? Yes, you can do that now by clicking this and selecting one of your abilities. So it's there. Have fun. I could have sworn I got the actual icons to show up in there. I wonder what happened to that.
I cannot do that.
We got the Druid transform skill saving working. A funny bug with it though, and when you transform from a form to another form, so if you go like bear to Spriggan directly, it always uses the default Spriggan layout, not your saved one. I don't know why yet. It's a bug fix for today. Probably end up having to get on that sooner rather than later. Kind of want to set up a loot filter for a sword. I want a really nice sword, you know? Really nice sword. Big old two-hander. That would be ideal. Well, I'll take a flame ridge too. void damage. Just take void here. Just get all the void stuff. Void penetration. Melee void damage. Just get void on it. I mean, it's just something with both of those affixes on it, or two of those affixes. Concept art book when? Yeah, I definitely want to get a nice less crit damage taken. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm trying to keep them like general. Where is it? It's not crit strike avoidance. Oh, yeah, it is.
The hunt.
I feel like I could upgrade my weapon pretty hard with just two of them. Any date for 094 with multiplayer? Wow, that's ambitious. 90 will be multiplayer, and no date for it. Definitely no date for 94.
Stand down or die.
84 is the next patch coming out. I'm not playing your build properly, Reimer. I'm sorry. The thing you have to know about me is that I'm a terrible troll. Not intentionally, it just sort of happens. It comes naturally for me. Go in the portal, please. Thank you. You just don't want me to die? That's so nice! Thank you! We could probably do a shadow helmet too. Get that extra void damage in there somewhere. There's probably some great gear in there. I'm basically using the same gear that I came into the monoliths with in the first place. And I feel like I have kind of handicap myself a bit by not reassessing them very much. What form are you most excited for people to try? Swarmblade because it's new? Yeah. Or the other ones because they are POC. I mean, they're all really amazing. Swarmblade being new is, like, does it say new is always better? I mean, it's not. But in this case, it is fantastic. I think Swarmblade's the hardest one for people to judge what it's going to actually be like before trying it. This is the most new. I will kill you. But there's some really cool stuff with all of them, really. Like there's all sorts of cool little neat new interactions between them. Oh, I held Rebuke. Come on. Probably didn't. Are you guys planning to do physical release or any collector's editions? I mean, maybe. I know we've talked about it. There's a lot that goes into it. We don't have like a physical distribution platform. So if we were doing a physical release, like it adds quite a bit of the cost to it. Doing a physical release, like one of the ways we keep the box price down a little bit is by not having to spend X amount of dollars per copy sold to actually sell it. You know, like it's possible though. It would be really cool to have like a box sitting up on like on my shelf behind me.
I cannot do that.
Yeah, I'm light on the deeps. Very light.
I cannot do that.
Heavy got people's backs with questions. Thank you. Let's see what that question was. Let's see thread. Is the goal to bring up to speed all the classes to the new standards, like with this coming patch, Last plus Rogue, before we see Rune Warlock Falcon released? Yeah, I don't know when Runemaster Falcon or Warlock's going to be released, so I can't really answer that. We are definitely trying to get the really bad pieces, not bad, but outdated pieces of the skill options more updated. And most of the really bad outliers will be I think handled by, like, maybe not the patch after next, but the one after that. I'd say by then there'd be very few like sore thumbs sticking out, would be my guess.
Stand down.
Which would be nice. There's a few skills that you look at the tree and you're just like, ugh, I don't remember making that because it was so long ago. And it's terrible. Like Sabretooth, which I think is one of, if not the first skill I worked on. Like a lot. Have you guys been leaking so much info for the upcoming patch? When will the legendary cash release be? Can you leak the leak date? No, I actually don't know when that info is coming out. But we're getting really close to patch, and I know that we want to show it before patch day. So I think pretty soon. I think those are also separate devlogs. Could be wrong though. I feel like this gets asked a lot, but are there any plans to make echoes more diverse or randomized? Even in the stream alone, it feels like you've been in this area 2 to 3 times. We do add, every time we like do a chapter, we'll add new areas to the echoes. Or we try to. We are working on randomization systems right now. The dungeons will have the first instances of randomization in the game in them. I think this ties in a little bit to a question that was asked earlier about having like things show up in the middle to like break things apart, and I do really like that as a way to keep things fresh. My goodness, my damage is terrible. Yeah, I think the short answer is yeah, we'll be adding more stuff. Wow. I need a sword. Should just like take all my gear out of my stash, drop it all on the ground, and see what triggers the loot filter. I mean, I feel like we can just like... clean up the ground a little bit. Alright, are we there? Was it 650? 10 more? Nice and easy one right at the start. Nice and easy. Part of the problem as well is that it does pick specific zones based on like which timeline it is. So there's each echo has a chance to spawn in specific timelines. So if you run one timeline a bajillion times, you are more likely to get those same zone repeats. You need to stream just cleaning, organizing your stash. That's some endgame content. Yeah, like I feel like no one really wants to watch me just like go through all my stash, like randomly craft on stuff to see if it turns good, and then maybe I'll do that one evening when I'm just relaxing. Because usually when I'm not streaming, if I'm sitting at my computer, I'm working on the game. Honestly, because it's enjoyable. I do like getting in other games too whenever I can. There was a new card game that just came out that I really want to play, that I cannot remember the name of. Reimer, the one that stands where I was talking about. Alright, here, can you tell something about totem changes or adds in 8.4? I love totems in PoE, and let's see more ways of playing them in LE. There's not really a lot to tell about totems. There's not a lot of changes happening in totems this patch. We are adding one new one in Upheaval Totem, or whatever it's called. Tremor Totem? No, it's the wrong name. Is there anything you look back at from 2 years ago and wish that you did it differently from the start? Yeah. there's tons of stuff. But I don't think that necessarily all those things that like we wish we did differently at the start would have been good to do from the start always, because you learn from those mistakes, and we like how would you ever have figured out that you needed to change it if you didn't do it in the first place? And I think it a lot of those things may help you avoid those mistakes with other things down the road as well. But like, if it was just assumed that none of those downsides existed, yeah, tons of stuff. Like being able to just magically know, yeah, this zone is rife with this problem. Oh, that's gonna be great. We've got a fix for this coming, where you'll actually move along the dock nicer. So like standing here and clicking here will move you to this point instead. So this zone's gonna get way nicer to play. That's interesting, didn't trigger. I used Anomaly, but it kind of sucks to move around in this location, doesn't it? It's been a while since I've been here. Okay, where are we going? Any update for me, Lich? Not much, really. It's pretty light on Acolyte changes this patch. Mostly, we're really focusing on the Druid. It's so good. Like, word retention's kind of meh. Just leave it as it is. People just go get good by the people. I mean McFluffin. No. Forcing people to walk on a tightrope, a fun game does not make. Unless it's specifically about like a tightrope walker, like you're this up and coming gymnast and like I don't know, like the Russian gymnastics system, and you're orphaned as a child, and like someone discovered that you had a knack for it because you're like stealing bread or something. I don't know. Be a good game actually. And then it's like it's all like a sound stealth game after, like you do gymnastics training part of it, and you like go to the Olympics or something, and then afterwards it like completely gear shifts and becomes this like spy game. And it's all about this like sound stealth detection game. And then it like shifts again and it becomes like a detective, like point and click adventure game for like discovering who your parents are. And it loops back around and it turns out that they're like the bread shop that you were stealing from at the very start of the game. They own that. Yeah, there's a game. If anyone wants to make that game, go ahead. Yes, but it's only one totem. Doesn't seem like you can play solely upheaval totem, or is there a way to get 3 of them? I don't think there's a way to get 3 of them, but you can. I just mean like there's an extra totem that's being added. Can you say that there's something coming for Melee Lich? I hope you know what I mean. Oh, yes. I just saw the model for it. Yes. Yes, I can. I forgot about that completely.
This is a mercy.
I love this fight. I love this fight. I'm very worried about it, and do not think I will be successful.
My way.
But a big fan am I.
This is a mercy. Do not stand in my way.
It's going to involve a lot of dodging and not a lot of damaging. I can just cast this so that I get this buff.
Is a mercy.
Yep.
Do not stand in my way. Yeah. Shatter. This is a mercy.
That's a frozen orb. No! My face!
Stand
Okay, we're
in
good.
my way.
I see a highlighted comment, and I'm gonna get to it, I promise.
This is a mercy. Shatter.
Is that a summoner,
Do not stand.
a supporter pack
way.
legendary? That is a supporter pack unique. Coming next patch.
Behold, the rage of winter. This is a mercy. Shatter. Do not.
Here it's got Ravenfrost on his hooves. Can't be frozen.
This is a mercy.
Or it's a Griffin's diadem crown he's wearing.
Do not stand in my way. This is a mercy. Shatter. Do not stand in my way.
Yeah. Thought I was out of lunge charges for a second there.
This
I'm
is
like
a
14
mercy.
damage. 14 damage.
Rise,
Yay.
my fallen champions. Aid me.
Jormung, Grail,
Shatter.
ain't nothing.
Do not stand in my way. This is a mercy.
Ain't nothing. Can I do this? There's some strats. Get him to charge into the wall.
Shatter. Do not stand in my way. This is a mercy. Come, sons of Artor, aid me.
And you said your favorite skill ultimate is Frozen Orb, releasing some love for this Mage's Frozen Orb side of Volcanic Orb Tree. I mean, just because I like something doesn't mean it gets
I
buffed.
cannot do that.
This is a mercy. Shatter. Do not stand in my way.
Okay, you know what? We need to, yeah, get out of the... Oops. Was not trying to get rid of your HUD.
Shatter. Do not stand in my way. I did what I must to protect my people.
Did not expect to actually be able to do that. Endurance. Yeah, we're doing endurance threshold. This helmet is getting some buffs next patch, I think. I'm excited for that. I know we talked. I think it was really early in the patch cycle we talked about that. Did I miss any questions? I probably did. Any plans for allowing people to have quicker access to harder content, i.e. unlock empowered timelines earlier or ramp corruption a lot faster? We already do ramp corruption a lot faster for carrying timelines over. Like for when you finish one, go to the next one, the corruption speed's super fast. But then some characters are very strong and completing the low level timelines can feel pretty bad. Yeah, we've been talking about having timelines, like the unlockedness of your monolith be an account thing instead of a character thing. I know we haven't done it yet, but that's definitely something we tabled recently, and I think there was some good reception to that. I think I'd be for that personally. But yeah. I know you said your favorite skill. Oh, I already answered that. Which of your current creators, or which of your content creators, do you think creates the best build guides? And what's your favorite build so far? I do not read enough of the builds to know. I'm sorry. I am the wrong person to answer. I know Boardman has a ton of it, but And like I know they're super high quality. I know there's a lot of other ones too as well. Yeah, does anyone have a preference? Last run, I don't. I'm not gonna pick out a favorite. Everyone who does it does such a great job. I'm always blown away by the all the little things like the intros and the way they lay stuff out on screen, and all the work that Dan did to make the build planners possible, and then the site that he made as well to like organize the builds and all the videos. It's just, it blows me away all the work that went into all that, and it's so cool that there's no way I could pick a favorite out of all that. I do love the builds that are like really wacky though, that like probably shouldn't work, but somehow they do. Alright. We got another, what did I miss here a few seconds ago? Oh, I missed some subs. Etoxbrat? Barrett? I'm gonna call you Barrett. Resub for 3 months in a row. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. Can't wait for 8-4. Keep up the good work. Thank you. And Wilbatron, host this with one viewer. Welcome again. TNY has gifted a sub to Maux. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. If this is your first time here, all of our stuff goes to our charity of the month, which this month is Extra Life. And today, I believe, is the last stream for this charity. Yeah, we have a new one next month. Alright, Daedalus, any thoughts in the challenges of balancing hard CC elements like stun and freeze? Oh yeah, it sucks. Particularly with freeze since cold skills and its ailments frostbites are heavily centered around it, yet freeze falls off heavily in late game content, which takes it away a fair bit of power from cold builds. Yeah, it's hard CC both ways, player and like on the player and on the player using. They're both so hard to balance, make feel good at like every stage. Because if it's a static thing, like just it always has the same effect no matter what content you're in, it becomes not really that interesting, I think. And then a lot of people also don't like being hard CC'd. They just don't like it. And I don't know if there's a way to make people who just straight up don't like being hard CC'd have like a good time with that as a mechanic in the game. And so we try and add things that let people build around that, so it's not as impactful, or you can't get hard CC, but you're sacrificing somewhere else for it. And so we try and work a lot of those things into your gear. I think as both offensive and defensive in regards to hard CC, the working in options in your passes, skills, gear to sort of circumvent the issues that are there. So you are kind of giving up something to have that be something you take advantage of, or aren't affected by it. And yeah. I know that part of what you're asking is that power budget does go into those things inherently. So it's like you either have to invest in also the hard CC as well, or you have to just kind of accept that a chunk of what the skill you're using's power budget is useless. And that doesn't feel great. So maybe there's like a flip side option. I'm kind of just rambling at this point. Maybe there's like a flip side option where you can sacrifice freeze rate for power. So if you know that your freeze rate is something you don't care about, but you still use a cold skill, maybe having it so like the cold skill suddenly doesn't have freeze rate and but does more damage. And we really don't put a ton of that power budget into freeze for cold skills, especially when there's skills that aren't really like super duper focused around freezing. It just sort of ends up being this like incidental extra thing that can happen sometimes. And we do try and balance it around that it not being a reliable thing from just cold damage freezing. Hipster Brofist, Mike, welcome to the off-meta club. I was born to the off-meta club. Hey, get back here. Get back here. Where are you going? It's okay, I don't bite.
Not do that.
I slash. I don't bite. It's different. It's a much more civilized way to go, because I should call this character Highlander.
I cannot do that.
There can be only one. Great movies. If you haven't seen Highlander, highly recommend. All right. Hey, quiet. There's your belt. Sort of just assuming you're here. Oh, here we can switch out. There was a skill revealed yesterday, I think. New skill, Umbral Blades for the Rogue, which is it's gonna be a really cool new skill. And it didn't have the right icon art in the unveil. on the tooltip. So we have the icon art's not 100% finished, but here's one of the ones that's the work in progress version. But it's so close that I think it'll be basically what it is. I think we should probably update that post as well with it. But this is also a combo ability, so there's like 3 different icons. This is just the initial one, I think. Yeah. That's what the Umbral Blades icon will look like or be very, very close to. Wait, what? I just got word that we're pivoting to some bread stealing gymnastics game. What did I miss? Hi, Jed. I just came up with a great new game concept. We're scrapping Epoch and we're moving over to it. It's gonna be wonderful. You'll just have to watch the VOD to get it. It's a game where the control schemes shift throughout the game, and like it comes full circle. And there's like a weird thing at the start of the game where if you know what you're doing, you can just like knock on the door and like your parents are there and you just like it works out perfectly. Wow, they just popped.
I cannot do that.
And then it turns out that it's just an alternate timeline in Last Epoch, and you're actually playing Epoch the whole time.
I cannot do that.
That's how we unlock. That's how we unveil our next class. Mastery for the rogue, the gymnast. Right. Oh, come on. This is a great idea. Completely off the rails, and then Beast Swarmblade build next patch. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You better believe that I'll be playing Swarmblade next patch. I really want to do a hybrid Bear Swarmblade build. It's quite good.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
I'm a little surprised there's not more questions about crafting. I feel like it may have been early enough in the week that there was enough time for all the questions to get asked in text format. Just take a chill pill, dragon. I'll be dragging you back to reality real soon. Here we go. I heard some streamer. Heard some streamer trying to explain damage, flat damage, percent damage, shred, penetration, etc. It was confusing. Any chance to reduce this down to just damage to make it easier on new players? No. I don't think. I think that would be. So this is like a follow up to the basically depth complexity conversation we were having previously. And I think there's a lot of depth in the different types of stats and how those interact with each other. There's like not a I feel like there's not a ton of stuff there that can be pretty easily explained, and all the info is in here. If you don't know, this is the game guide. You can press G and open the game guide at any moment. And there's combat mechanics. There's all sorts of information about the way damage works. There's probably stuff in here about how ailments work as well. The elements right here. Yeah, we got shred, resistance, shred. Here we go. I bet penetration's in here. There's penetration. Yep. So all this info's here. I think the only part that might be a little bit confusing is the incoming penetration, and how like your resistances get shred effectively, or there's built-in penetration for enemies based on what level you are. That happens after the cap. That's a little unintuitive, but all that, and like a lot of people will try and work around that, but all that means that this one kind of offbeat mechanic a little bit, all it means is that not being fully capped is less penalizing than normal. So normally, if you're at the difference between 75% resistance, if this built-in penetration didn't exist, the difference between poison and physical here, I'd be taking roughly, if I took 100 physical damage and 100 poison damage, right now, I'd be taking roughly 25 physical. Basically, there's you don't take double damage from being shy 25% resistance. So it's less important to cap your resistances. It's still really good to do it. In almost every character should have the resistance is capped, but it's less punishing if you're not quite capped. So it's just to help new players not get quite so steamrolled. What about bringing Volcanic Orb up to par with newly reworked skills like Static Orb? A lot, like, we definitely want to have every skill be as viable as every other skill, and we'll work on it for sure, but we've got tons of other stuff to work on.
I cannot do that.
We can only work on so many skills each patch.
I cannot do that.
And quite often, just being like, alright, let's just turn this number up and see what happens, and release it. It is a very dangerous thing. So we like to take some time and evaluate the nodes, and really look for if something's not performing well enough. Is there specific nodes we can turn up? Or is there specific items we can buff? Is there like all sorts of things like that? And especially when there's such a large change happening to overall damage output potential from all characters in the game, we like to try and not make too much in the way of sweeping changes to balance at the same time from other sources. So next patch there's going to be like a lot's changing with crafting, other stuff. There's a lot happening, and so the amount of damage that any character can pump out is going to shift a lot. so like, just with the incidental changes from other sources that are happening next patch, Volcanic Orb might suddenly become an amazing skill. And if we also buff it at the same time, it might suddenly become a, like, what the fuck, broken skill. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's possible. And so I'd say we're more likely to take a closer look at it in the future.
I cannot do that.
Do you have any plans to reveal full gear and skill tree characters on leaderboards? Maybe. Leaderboards are being redesigned. A lot of people don't want to show the gear and skills and stats and everything that they had when they were when they completed the content. So it might be an opt-out system, it might be an opt-in system, it might just be a no system, it might be a just yes system, I don't know. But we are aware that a lot of people don't like to share it, and then you get games where people, it'll just show the most recent thing that you logged out as, and people will suddenly start like having their logout gear as this burden of optimal play where you end up having to equip different gear to log out. And then you figure out how frequently it parses, and every time you complete content, you then have to go put your logout gear on, log out, log back in, and then this puts additional artificial strain on the servers because people are having to use the system to do something it's not supposed to do, and it's just such a mess. So we do want to get that right and make it so it's a system that works for as many people as possible.
I cannot do that.
Would the item drop rates be adjusted after the Bazaar is enabled? One of those things that really disliked about Diablo 3 Auction House. I mean, we're always looking at drop rates for everything, and that's sort of regardless of if there's an auction house or not. So there's a possibility they get adjusted just regardless of the auction house. So maybe. But I doubt that I know I'm calling it an auction house, and that's just me being lazy. If there's... We do want to keep solo players who play online that have access to the Bazaar but choose not to interact with it able to play well and have fun. Alright, will more glyphs and runes be added for things like re-rolling the affix ranges on a unique, or being able to change the implicit of a base item type to another of the same type so good drops on the bad base can be made good? Those specific ones you referenced there, we have discussed, and we have very intentionally chosen not to add them. Doesn't mean they'll never get added, but right now we don't want them. Oh, hey, Boardman, I didn't even see it was you. How's it going? Someone was asking about best build guides. If you link your favorite build guide, or say which it is, you probably got a bajillion out there. How much do I need to update for? How much do I need to donate for the update to release now? Well, if you would like a unfinished update that doesn't have access to much of the content, we can release it now for you. Unfortunately, it's just not ready. It's not like we're sitting on it and just waiting for the date to come by. Like, all our work's done and we're just waiting for that date to roll up. No. When we've announced the date, it's like, is that the absolute earliest we could get it done? Yeah, okay, that's the absolute earliest we could do it. Alright, let's say that date. And that's not entirely true. Like, there's I'm sure it's possible that if everyone stayed up and worked through the nights and everything, but we don't like doing that. A lot goes into picking a patch release date. So much. Is there enough time after it goes out where we can like have a window where we can still monitor it and hotfix it quickly, especially given this close to winter holidays, where people are going to see family and things. I mean, COVID restricts that, so it's less of a concern, but then there's also other games coming out, and just like wanting to get certain content in and that to finish, and having the time to polish it all and get feedback, and you know, there's so many things. We put a lot of placeholder stuff, like early CT builds that we send out. There's a lot of placeholder stuff in there, and a lot of stuff that they still don't know about that's coming. But like one of the new mechanics, we like didn't have the entrance for it set up yet. So there's like a doormat, and you click on it, and the key just drops from the doormat.
Do that.
Does she have a central design philosophy for Last Epoch, or do people shotgun things into a test build until something works? I mean, we talk a lot. We just like, we have a lot of design meetings where people will just shoot out random ideas of things that you're like, I don't know, maybe it'll work, maybe it's just crazy, and so we do just have a lot of discussions of what ifs and wouldn't it be cool if, and anyone ever thought of doing this, and usually something doesn't make it into the game actually, like even into engine, until it's been pretty heavily discussed.
I cannot do that.
Sometimes things do. Ooh, I clicked that early, that's okay.
Stand down or die.
Sometimes people slip things in as well, just as sort of like they know it's going to be awesome. Ooh, telemarketer call, love it. What was it saying? Oh yeah, the Umbral Blades was actually cool. So that's one that someone just put in. And our VFX artist, he's just like, I got a great idea for a skill. We talked about it a little bit, sort of in secret before it was in and everything. And he showed me a prototype of it, and I'm like, yeah, let's make this, and just slap that in. And then like one skill design meeting, we were just like, at the end of the meeting, we were just like, oh, by the way, we've got an extra skill for this patch ready. And it was just the base version. There's lots to do afterwards, and we talked about it, and we changed a few things after that, and like it didn't, like just the initial version doesn't end up just going in. But yeah, like sometimes things like that happen, or sometimes someone gets a really great idea and they're just like, it's quick and easy to just slap a prototype version in so people can try it. Because quite often the way you get people being able to talk about an idea really well is being able to see it and experience it, even if it's just a prototype version. Lots of good info there. When do we see some blood on hitting enemies? Enemies with blood, I mean. I mean, some of them should have it already. I don't know. It's tough. Like, so when you're setting up the like when hit or on death or any of those like types of animations for a single enemy, it doesn't it's not that bad for like bad. It's really easy to do things that are like expressive and interesting. There's a lot going on. But then as soon as you've got 80 of them on screen at once, or even 10, it can get a little noisy. So unfortunately, quite often we have to tone down individual things for the situation of when there's a bajillion of them on screen. Are any acts getting revamped this patch? I don't think so. I'm really not overly involved in that process, so one of them could have slipped through. Rhymer, if I'm wrong, please let that fine folk know. And Judd's just like typing answers at the same time as I'm talking, I just noticed. When the new acts are released, will it make current strong weaknesses? When new acts are released, will that make current strong weakness useless, like we grind again? I'm sorry. I do not quite know what you're asking there. Thanks. Adjustments being different textures and objects such, or
I cannot
sometimes I don't know if you're replying to the there's someone else on the actual account typing answers compared to me talking. So if you see a typed answer in chat from me, that's not me. I think that might have been a reply to that. What do you hope makes Last Epoch stand out from the current and upcoming ARPGs? So I think we've, the world is really interesting. I think we built a really cool world and a lot of really interesting stuff that goes with it. I mean, like, every RPG has its own unique setting and everything like that. And, like, I hope ours stands out. There's a lot of really cool settings and scenarios that I think are really awesome. But I think that mechanically, our crafting and skill systems are really strong and really unique. And so I think those will do a really good job at setting us apart for a long time. And then also just any other like endgame systems that we can come up with and incorporate into the game. I think there's a lot of potential there. I love the birds. This is such a weird thing as well. So these little critters, every once in a while you'll see them. They're running around. I think they're really neat. And if you walk near them, they should fly away. I am so sorry. Oh, they flew away eventually. Well, they're supposed to fly away, Sonar. Bah.
I cannot do that.
Scrap it, game unplayable. Dead game, bird didn't fly away. Yeah, what is this garbage, right? It flew away eventually, guys. Just not right away. Gotta train those birds better. It's the next class coming, 2 crows. I'm very excited. Random news interval. I have this unopened box of Commander Legends that I've been sitting on since it came out like 2 years ago or something. Finally gonna open it tonight with my buddies. We're gonna do a little draft. We just haven't been able to get everyone together since before the pandemic started. And like I didn't want to open it without someone to do the draft. Please get like 4 or 5, and like it might not even happen still. It's always one of those things that like last second cancels. Oh God, I coughed. Haven't coughed in like a year, feels like. I've ever grown my beard out longer than the primalists. I've grown my beard out pretty far. Never like insane. But I worked a couple years as a camp counselor, and I was growing my beard out pretty hard then. Going for the whole Bushman vibe, you know. It's fun. I will. I do have one last leak photo ready. I think it's probably a pretty good time for it. Actually, I have 2 more, but the juicy information's on both. The same information on both photos, but because the creator asked someone to get me to unveil it on stream. So that one that was sitting in the bottom corner, I will actually show you the stats on that here when we're done this echo. More leaks.
Yeah.
Got some leaks in the fridge upstairs. I should just like bring one of those out. I'm sure everyone would love that. Random vegetables. Oh, Dawn Plate of the Ox. There's a bunch of health. Look at that health right there. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna slap some stuff on that and try and upgrade it. It's gonna be key. The one thing I upgrade today is that I also did a little crafting on my weapon, but it's mostly useless. Kind of just wanted to see if I could Iron Jesus to T20. Got to 19. Close enough, right?
I cannot do that.
Oh, get out of there. There we go. XP boost. Yes, please. On the new... I see someone has pinged me for a question someone else asked. Thank you very much, whoever that was. Heavy. I will answer it in a moment. On new glyph and rune art was just completed today. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're pinging the... Gets confusing with both of us in stream. Yes, new rune and glyph art was completed today. Jed, if you're interested in sharing one of them, I mean, probably... I don't know if that is shareable right now or not, but if it is and you toss me one, I'll put one up. I didn't want to say, yeah, we'll share them! Just like, no, Mike, you can't. Oh.
I cannot do that. Yeah.
I was watching this. It looked good. It looked really nice. Do you find that the items retain their approximate level of power after the changes to crafting? Yeah. The we set up an entire simulation system for both crafting systems, where you could like make minor changes to the systems, and it would output average. Thank you, Jed. I see that. It would output like the average, like attempts to T20, attempts to T10, and like to balance the crafting. So it's very similar power potential through crafting now as before. Might be a little bit more now, I think, but not much, and it's just it doesn't suck to work with. I mean, it didn't suck before, but there were some issues. Let's get this image up. Those are glyphs. Yes. I can type, guys, I swear. So good at it. The glyph art. Actually, there we go. Rune of Refinement 2. Okay, I'll get that up. There we go. Pair of them. Yeah, Yeah, so that's what the new art's. It's very similar, just, you know, refined. Say that. I feel like we're burning through this monolith a lot easier. What made you decide to not have maps and just give players freedom to pick echoes they want to do, no resources needed? Okay, I see what you're saying. So there's lots of really cool things that come with maps, and like having them have those like risk reward built into them, and having properties and everything like that. It's a lot of inventory management to actually interact with it. And that's something we were trying to shy away from, and it's something that we've talked about doing with other systems as well, but it's like more of a integral primary endgame system. It felt like a little much. And also getting just like locked out, having like there are other systems that we do want to have elements of that with. So like needing a key to enter other endgame systems will be a thing. So it's not just like we're doing with it completely, but the monolith is a pretty core section to our craft my chess piece. Yeah, I totally forgot about it. The monolith is a really integral and core piece of our endgame. I think it's a lot of other endgame systems are going to stem from it, and it's in a similar way that maps are really core to PoE's endgame system. And having that's a similar system whereby maps or keys or whatever it is as maps are really just keys to get into the map system with a different name. But having those for other endgame systems is something that I think would be really good and interesting to do as well as a possibility. But yeah, just getting getting locked out of say you're like, okay, I'm on tier, and this is kind of similar to the corruption problem, but like say my character can do like, let's just use corruption. Let's say my character can do corruption 1,000 content, but then I go to a different timeline and there's corruption.
I cannot do that.
Say there were keys to get into the timelines, and you run out of corruption 1,000. A corruption 1,000 content, so you can't do keys. You can't do corruption 1,000 keys anymore. Suddenly, you have to go back and do corruption 500 keys, and there's just like this time where you're spending fighting things that are nowhere near as good. And that's, I know it's stuff that we still suffer from a little bit in a couple situations, but it's something that we're working on. And part of that reason why we don't do the reason why we don't have keys for the monolith timelines is because of that. We don't want you to get stuck not being able to pick which one you want. And I'm kind of stalling a little bit because I got a couple more images for you. Just a couple more images for ya here. Okay. Moving that into place. I wish there was a way to make this screen temporarily bigger to line it up better. But we've got a couple more. You guys can figure out which ones you think these are. Why are there no ability to assign action like drinking potions to your mouse buttons? Oh, is there not?
I cannot do.
There should be if there's not. I suspect there is. I will check in a minute.
I cannot do that.
Rune of removal, a rune of discovery. Yeah. Good guess. That's a good sign. If you can pick what they are by the symbols, that is a good sign. It's a lot of armor shred.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get through this month. We're gonna do some cool stuff after this. We're gonna fix our chest piece. Don't die though. I want to actually kill it. And we're gonna something else I was gonna do too. Fix my chest piece first. That's for sure though.
I cannot do that.
Rid of Insight? Yeah, it's a good name. Doesn't exist though, you're right. I love gold! Okay. So back into the next one? No, just kidding. Gotcha. Flip this. Those are going to go away for a little bit. We're going to try to craft on this. Come on, just vitality, just go like straight health, everything. Of course. Should have done the T5 on this first. Of course. Is it still better though? Probably. It's a lot of health. We're gonna use it, I think. Didn't turn on dev client. No, this is live client build, not using dev build. Mike, that may be your last fracture ever. Oh, I so hope so.
Stand down or die.
Oh yeah, I've got that unique item I was gonna show. Dang it. Okay. Can we do it mid? Well, that's big. That's written on my screen. I did not position that well. Mike, what are you doing? No one wants to see me do this monolith anyways. Here is
I cannot do that.
new unique item coming next patch. This is one of our supporter uniques. I think the supporter's name is in the top right corner. I hope they're here. If you're here, make yourself known. If not, that's unfortunate, and I'm sorry. I hope this is okay. I just got a request. Someone was like, Mike, we got a request to show this on stream. Here's some sweet images. I'm like, this is the best day ever.
I cannot do that.
I love these beefy boys.
I cannot.
Remind me of Ultralisks a little bit. Just cooler.
I cannot do that.
Oh, you are here! Yes! First time chat from viewer! Welcome! I've learned that when I put my arms up, I have to do it at an angle, because if I go straight up, I just punch the ceiling. Wish there were more uniques with wider stat ranges. Yeah, there's a lot that have very wide stat ranges. Especially with the support uniques, that's something that we do ask what people want when they're with their own unique. And, yeah. I'm a big fan of this item. Straight up, I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm going to bring up a bigger version so I can see it, because I can't see that version because it's tiny. Oh, that's the whole screen. Luckily, that was behind. Still a bunch of white that showed up. This is one that has a really unique mechanic. Tons of crit. And less elemental damage taken. Less of whatever damage taken is nice. It's multiplicative. It's one of those things that's like, strangely additives can be better. If there's other things for them to add to, really. But if there's not a lot of things for them to add to. Can we get a rough count on the number of uniques being added next patch? Also, any new sets? No? I don't know the number, I'm sorry. There's quite a few. There's at least 10. There's more, like, uniques are one of those things that actually generally require very little in the way of testing.
I cannot do that.
And they're quite often really quick to implement. Like, this one was probably a little bit more intensive than most of the other ones, but quite often uniques can be like an hour and you can have a unique in. No problem. Mechanically, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it for sure, but functionally, just to test it can happen pretty quick sometimes. And so the design process takes the longest, but it is something that we quite often will toss in at the last second, a whole bunch of uniques. Partially also because no one waits on you for uniques. So like, I might be like implementing a unique or whatever really close to patch day, because no one's waiting for me to finish that unique to be able to do their job. Whereas with the new like character select panel, if I don't set up the logic for when you press the back button, what happens, and for like switching animation states, the animators can't implement their new animation states. So you got to get things done first where other people are, where you're unblocking other people. And unique items are one of those things that almost never blocks anyone else, so they happen really close to the end. And require little testing. Require little testing and don't block anyone else, it gets pushed right to the low priority.
I cannot do that.
So the number of uniques that are going into patch usually changes pretty quickly in the last week or so. Last 2 weeks. Does the unique shred apply one stack for all 3 elements individually, or is there a new elemental resistance shred element? Oh, good question. I don't know. Good question. I think it's probably one for each, so it shares the cap, the stack cap. So it's not adding a new damage ceiling for shred stacks on elemental only, but I could be wrong. I didn't implement this one. Or work on it in any way. Brighter minds than I. You heard it, guys. We can make broken uniques. They don't require testing anyways. Not what I meant. Any chance we get to see those legendary... I just did like so many of them with this up. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here with this up. Hope you guys enjoyed looking at that. Sorry. Any chance we get to see a legendary dungeon blog post next week? I'm expecting a maybe answer here. Good instincts. I don't know, I'm sorry. I think we'll see one of them next week. But I could be wrong. Or end this week on... No, I don't think... I think we've already had today's post go out, haven't we? sorry. Please hold. Your call is important to us and will be answered in the order it was received. Oh, we don't have one plan today. This is your social post for today. Streamlabs. There it is. Hello. Can you show the Chase Runes artwork as well? I showed you all the ones I got.
Yep. Stand down or die.
Have you ever tried playing through the game with a controller? I have never played start to finish with a controller on the current content. I think so. Yes, the answer to that question is technically yes, but back when I did it, the game was 10% the size it is now, so the controller sucked by comparison. I know there's people that do, when they play, they just always play controller. I know a lot of them have stopped using controller temporarily because our one of the experimental features we have doesn't work with the controller at the moment.
I cannot do that.
But it will soon.
I cannot do that.
Guys, I have a lot more health. My resistances took a beating, and I need to fix some of them. But my health is way more. That's great. Umbral Blades yesterday.
I cannot do that.
Yeah, but we don't have one today.
I cannot do that.
Is the loot indicator beam shown in the crafting dev blog for Rune of Ascendance final visually? Maybe? Like the beam you're talking about, the like... I don't know. I'd say likely that's what it'll be. But it's Thanksgiving weekend and we have been good. You guys have been fantastic. The best. Can't quite call you like the best fans in gaming because Civ's got that on lockdown, I guess. Ooh, hardly ever see one of these. Hardly ever see one of these. I'm not really farming for anything in particular, though. Let's just do it. Last one. You think it's too bland colored? Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. I don't know. It's one of those things where like we want it to be a similar color to the base item.
I cannot do that.
And we don't want to change the... We really like the color that crafting shards are, and that runes are. I don't have any runes. It's the same color. But like we do really like this color, the space that they occupy, and a beam that kind of fits that color profile is difficult. Because like we invert the color scheme on the super rare thing. So like black background, colored text, colored background, white text. And so because it's one of the super rare ones, we give it one of this color color scheme where like the box is what's colored. Yeah. What makes your game more appealing than D3 or PvE? That's such an open-ended question. Wow, I only have 4 minutes to answer that. I think it's the concise way to answer that question.
Stand down.
It's more awesomer because we make it. No. I I think there's different things that will appeal to different people in all of those games. I think PoE and D3 are very different from each other, and some of the things that we do really well that may appeal to people that like D3, but like that pull them away from D3 as sort of a is better than or is different than are things that PoE does also really well. And then a lot of the things that I guess what I'm trying to say is we fit kind of in the middle of the two in a lot of philosophical points on game design, I think. Especially depth and complexity. I think we have more depth and complexity than Diablo 3. And I think that a lot of our systems are more intuitive than they are in Path of Exile. But like, there's so many things that make both those games so great as well that it's hard to like really pin down something that makes any one of them strictly better. I just like RPGs a lot, so it's really hard to be like, we're better than them because of XYZ, because I played those games a whole bunch. You know? Like, these are games that I really enjoy as well. So it's a hard question to answer. Some things that are different, are comparing PoE to us, to Last Epoch, as far as skill systems go, like there's a lot of things that are really similar about our skill system. So you start with a base skill functionality, and then there's things you augment it with. They have the gems that combine together, and it's this sort of multiplicative approach where every time you add a new gem, either be a support gem or a skill gem, it multiplies the number of possibilities out. And there's so many possibilities, it's baffling. But I think that what our system has, and our system is similar in that there's so many options, it's baffling. And sometimes there's overlap between the skills. So sometimes there might be like a mana efficiency node on one of our skills, and that same or very similar mana efficiency node on another one, or a crit node, or whatever, the more generic ones. And we do try and put as few of those as possible on trees to make them as interesting as possible. But we can put really unique effects that only would work on that one skill really easily into our system, because it doesn't need to be possible to combine it with any other skill in the game. And so I think that's a really big strength of ours comparatively. And then, like, talking about D3 in that same system, is we do just have a ton more options and things you can do. So they have 6 options per skill, and we have usually in the realm of 30. Sometimes it's plus or minus 3. 27 to 33 is sort of our skill node range. And there's some exceptions to that because they're really old, but they'll all be that eventually. What happens if we anomaly this?
I cannot do that.
That's funny.
I cannot do that.
And Judd's got a great answer there too. I am sure. I have not read it, but I see it is huge. Looks like one of those posts that hits the cap on Twitch chat. It's pretty small. Well, that's time for me today. Feels great. I had a fun time. I had a blast. I hope you did too. Is there any other questions here? An actual typhoon. Was there a major aha moment when designing the new crafting system? Yes, this is what we need to implement. I'm not sure. We had so many different ideas that went into it. Like, so many different ideas that went into it. We started designing this crafting system over a year ago. And it's almost been slated to go into patches 3 different times now. I'm really happy we waited, because I think this is very significantly the best version we've ever had of it. Yeah. So there may have been an aha moment, I just don't remember. It's been so long working on it. Alright. That's what I do. I stream, and then I don't stream anymore, because thus is the functions of time. I had a ton of fun. I hope you did too. I'll be here again next week, same time, same place. Kicking butt, taking names. Don't always write them down, but I try and remember them when I can.